Hello YouTube, Mike Wogman here, Mushroom Rangers. So I did a video a couple days ago, and I think I did one like two years ago, which is the biggest trending video on my channel, and that's how to build one of these super pasteurizers, steam sterilizers if you want to call it. I'm pretty sure I went into great detail on how it's built, but again, I will go in greater detail. You're just going to need some way for the water to vent out. So all the parts that I'm going to show you, just about all the parts you can get at Lowe's or your Home Depot hardware store, whatever hardware store you have, wherever you go. You're going to need a ball valve. Doesn't matter what size, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, it doesn't matter. You're going to need one of those so that the water can drain out. You're going to need just a regular old 110 volt water heating element. And in the same section you'll find them brackets. The brackets that the hot water heating element screws into. You're going to need bolts and nuts in order to attach it to your barrel. You're going to need a piece of wire, extension cord. If you have an old extension cord lying around, you just clip it off and attach it to the water heating element. You're going to need some of these forked electrical probes. I don't know what they're called, but you know what they are. They hook on the end of the wire and then you screw a nut onto the end of them, or screw. You're going to need one that's round too, so that you can attach your ground. I bought all this stuff separate. I bought this separate. I bought this separate. This piece right here separate, and then I attached it all together. You're going to need some RTV, the gasket maker, to seal around the outside of this so that it doesn't drip. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get the bracket, put the bracket on your barrel as close to, but yet still far away from the bottom, that you'll still be able to get a wrench on the inside to tighten these nuts down. And then you're going to trace the bracket, trace the holes, and then drill the holes with the bracket on this. That way the holes are lining up. Once you get your first hole drilled, you're going to want to put a bolt through it just to secure it. That way you don't have to hold it with your hand, and then you drill all the other holes. This hole I drilled with a hole saw. One of those things. It's round, and then it has a drill bit up, and it's a sort of a mechanism. It's a hole drill bit, and then that's what I drilled in. And then when you're done with that, you take a knife and you clean off all the burrs, and then you take some RTV and you spread it around in that on that stencil that you drew, and then you pat it down and whatnot. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go get some olive oil or some sort of spray cooking thing. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to spray the bracket with this olive oil, canola oil spray. What that does is it coats the bracket, because what you're going to do is after you've put down the RTV, you're going to push the bracket into the RTV, creating this recess. And that's the reason for the canola oil, olive oil. That way the RTV doesn't stick to the bracket. The coating of the olive oil will ensure that the RTV does not stick to the bracket. And then you pull the bracket off. Allow 24 to 48 hours for the RTV to cure, and then come back out and put it together. If you're doing it by yourself, it's going to be pretty tricky, because it's going to be hard to hold this bolt and this nut and tighten it from the inside out. So all I did was took a pair of vice grips, clacked it onto the inside of the head of the bolt, and then just started cranking, and then eventually, once it gets tight enough, the vice grips will swing around and hit the bottom of this, and then you can be able to tighten it up. And then you put these on. I got some heat shrink. Get some heat shrink there. And then the last thing that you want to do is you're going to want to use some sort of insulation. You can go to the sporting section and get those camping mats. You could take a moving blanket and wrap it around. Again, you're just trying to keep all the heat in, because this thing's not insulated, so all the heat will escape out the side. That's why you need something to insulate it. And then I just used Gorilla Tape to secure it. I have used self-adhesive insulation, but after the barrel's done and over with, then you got this barrel that has a self-adhesive on it, and it's of no use to you. So that's the outside. That's what it looks like on the inside. Got a rubber grommet for the ball valve, and these won't leak because of the RTV on the outside. So, just to let you know. And then you're going to need some sort of insert. That's up to you how you want to build it. I built it out of an old 35-gallon drum. I cut it down, cut another piece off, and then just reinforced it and drilled a bunch of holes in it. And attached it with self tappers, and then cut a slit so that it goes down over the heating element as such. I had to play with it for a little bit, but it got in there. And again, I'm going to fill the water up to just below this hole and then stack my bags in. And what I did, since this ball valve is so close to the floor, there's no way for me to attach a hose for it to drain. So I just went out and got the hot water heating pan drain thing. And all I did was attach a piece of board to it and some 2x4s, some leftover 2x4s. That way, that the drum fits on there like that. That way it's up off the ground. That way I can attach a hose to it and drain it. And then for the lid, again, I just got an old steel drum that I used from my other barrels, and it was pretty rusty, so I took a wire brush on the end of a battery operated drill and got all the rust off, and got some stove paint, painted it with stove paint, then took a Coleman blowtorch and then just cured it. And then I took some more RTV, pulled out the old crappy gasket, and then put my own gasket on here. So it sits on there pretty snug. Again, this is a ball valve. It just lets the steam escape. The pressure gauge is to make sure that there's no pressure. Again, this is the zero pressure. It's basically a big, huge water boil. You just boil water in it. Gets everything up to 200 degrees. After about 12 to 20 hours, I shut it off and then let it sit for 3 to 4 days for the blocks to cool down. So again, I'll make another video on the actual parts so that you can see them instead of just figuring out. So for those of you out there that want to know how I want to build one of these, this is how you do it. The drums you can get off Uline. You may know somebody that works at a place that has food. I got this from a buddy that works at a job that they do food. It held tomatoes, so it's food grade. So he just got it to me for free, and then I just put all the work into it. So that's how you build one of these. I'm going to be firing it up this week, testing it. And the last thing you want to do after you put the RTV on, and you put your water, after you put the RTV on and it cures for 24 to 48 hours, assemble it, put it all together, and then take a 5-gallon bucket and dump water in it, and then tilt it on its side so that you can see if there's any drips. And if it leaks, then basically all you got to do is just go around and systematically tighten all the nuts so it doesn't drip anymore, or apply more RTV. So that's how I built one of these. Again, if you like this video, tell yourself, tell your friends, like, subscribe, comment, blessed be, and keep it fungi.